Perhaps you've heard me say it before, but I grew up redneck. Not Duck Dynasty redneck, but really, really close. And my mom used to have this redneck phrase that I promise you, until the last 4 or 5 years, it didn't make any sense to me at all. I used it, but I couldn't really put it into context. She used to say, when my siblings and I would get mad at each other, I would say, well, so-and-so's mad, and that made me mad. And she would say, you got the same pants to get glad in, or in redneck, you got the same britches to get glad in. What? You got the same britches to get glad in? Have you ever heard that before? I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I spent a whole lot of time thinking about what does it mean to get glad in the same britches you got mad in. But I think as you listen to this illustration, I heard someone use it in a teaching on neuroscience just recently. I study a lot of leadership and neuroscience and thought processes and how do we demonstrate and illustrate the changes that we want to see not only on our own lives, but in the lives of people that we influence and impact around us. How do we model? How do we apply? How do we teach so that it's discernible and reusable? The simple principles of good, solid leadership. One of those is, how do you get past a mood that you're stuck in, or some people might call it a state? Now, you've heard me teach on this Leading Leaders podcast thousands of times about attitude. How attitude is the mechanical equation of your thought plus your emotion. What you choose to think and how you choose to feel, that creates your attitude. And you've heard me talk about how you can find yourself in a place where you've got to choose a different set of emotions to go with that thought process, or you've got to choose a new set of thoughts to go with that emotional state. But when I heard this illustration, I thought, that really is the perfect demonstration that we have often subconsciously applied and maybe never really intentionally done it. And probably for a couple of mechanical, maybe habitual reasons. So here's the illustration that was used. He said, you have those times when you get frustrated with life, you're just so angry and you're so fed up, especially with a person or an incident, a moment in time. And as you're frustrated, as you're annoyed, as you're just, maybe it's road rage, maybe it's something went wrong at home. But while you're in that state, your phone rings. And when you look at the caller ID, you realize it's a customer or your boss. And suddenly you have to throw the brakes on and change your tone of voice, your mood, be delightful. Even if you have to fake it, you got to learn to get into that moment and treat them with the respect and the courtesy that they deserve. Or you just got to ignore the call and take your chances that you're going to lose your job or lose that customer. But see, sometimes we do that subconsciously. We hear the phone ring or we see somebody walk in the door and we realize, I'm not really mad at them. Sometimes, though, we take that emotional state and we see, oh, that's mom calling, or that's my sister calling, or that's another sibling calling it. And I can just pour all my emotion onto them and I can just wallow in my pity and I can be as angry with them as I was with the moment, or they're at least going to share that drama with me. See, the reality is that's still a choice, but we often make those choices subconsciously and so fast that we don't realize the long-term impact that they're having. The truth is, Mama was right. Her redneck logic lined up with neuroscience. You got the same britches to be glad in that you got mad in. Whatever it was that tripped your trigger, ticked you off, flipped your wagon over, whatever you want to say, you're still here in the same place, on the same date, in the same time. And you have equal opportunity to be happy as you had to get mad. It's a choice. You get to decide how you're going to apply that mood or not. And because you get to choose that mood, you get to decide, am I going to reframe this moment as if my boss or a customer were calling? Am I going to put myself in the position to know that it's going to be okay? I get to choose that. Or am I going to be a victim of whatever it was that set me off to begin with? It's a choice. And you get to choose. You get to be glad in the same britches you got mad in. Completely a choice, but you have to choose. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Leadership team. If attitude is going to have a deep impact on your business and bottom line, make it a positive attitude with a positive impact. Visit jlorennorris.com/attitude hack